Welcome back, viewers. In today's video, we have what I can only describe as the world's most unique Subaru Baja. You've probably seen in my Instagram post about it and my YouTube community post about this car. Took a couple pictures and posted it. I also put a poll up to see if you guys were interested in me shooting a video on the car, and the majority said yes, so here we are. I had in the comments on the pictures a viewer, I believe name was SubiTech 1.6L, might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's what it was, said he actually recognized the car and had actually worked on it before. I think he said about 4 years prior, and that the owner of the car was a woman. It was her first car, and she actually painted this car herself. This is all paint. This is not a vinyl decal. This is not a vinyl overlay. This is all actual paint. And it is a pretty wild paint job. As I stated in my post, this is not my style whatsoever, but I can appreciate the time and work that went into this paint job. There's lots of different stripes and colors, and we've got some diamond plate here and some checkered flags at the back. We have some, I'm not exactly sure what brand they are, but they look like maybe some Boyd Coddington, Krager, American Racing torque thrust style wheels. Something you normally see on like a Mustang or Camaro. Definitely not on a Subaru Baja, but with the paint job, it kind of all goes together. And then the crown jewel is the mermaid on the hood, which we'll take a look at that in a minute. Basically, we're just gonna do an overview of the car inside and out. And just some of the weird quirks about Subaru Bajas. I've never really featured one on the channel, and why not start with featuring the most unique, most outlandish Subaru Baja I've ever laid eyes on, and most of you probably have ever laid eyes on as well. I was not kidding about the hood. This basically cherry on top of this custom paint job would be the hood. The Trans Am Screaming Chicken has nothing on this mermaid, in my opinion. What do you guys think? The paint job is actually held up extremely well. There's a little bit of peeling over here, but other than that, there's not really any bad areas that I can find on it, other than, you know, some very small places where maybe some clears peeling, maybe there was some rock chips or things like that. But for this paint job to be at least 4 years old, it's held up really well to be a custom paint job. When it comes to Subaru Bajas, I've never really understood why a Subaru Baja owner would put a camper shell on the back of their Baja. I understand to keep weather off of anything they want to store in the truck bed, but as far as functionality goes, if you're going to put a camper shell on a Baja and use it that way all the time, you'd get far more use out of a second gen Outback, because the cargo area you have once you fold the back seats down is unobstructed from the hatch all the way to the back of the front seats. In the Baja, you have the bulkhead between the truck bed and the back of the rear seat, so you have a much smaller cargo capacity to keep things out of the weather. I also do understand though, if you do have the Baja, you can remove the shell and still use it as a pickup truck and use the bed with the bed extender to have more open area to carry cargo that you could not in an Outback because you can't remove the rear of the Outback wagon. Now, this one is equipped with an ARE camper shell, and it is a fairly nice one. Seems to be mostly fiberglass. There's some carpeted finishes on the inside here. Both windows vent on the sides. Looks like it needs some gas struts. This one does not have the tailgate extender installed, but I believe it goes in these brackets here. And when you have the tailgate down, you can swivel it back, and it basically becomes a roll cage that follows the edge of the tailgate to extend the amount of cargo you can carry. Another interesting attribute of the Baja is while you are using the tailgate extender to haul with your tailgate down, your license plate is no longer visible. Well, Subaru thought of that, and you actually have buttons on either side of the license plate, and you can actually swivel the bracket down where it's still visible with the tailgate down. Also, your license plate lights swivel on that bracket as well, so at night you do have an illuminated tag, so you're not going to get a ticket for no tag lights or no display of the license plate. All you do is push the buttons here on the sides, and your tag bracket and tag lights swivel down. Now you can put your bed down, and your tag will be visible with the lights. Pretty neat that Subaru thought of that. So inside the Baja, it basically still shares every single interior element from the second generation Outback, aside from a few differences. They had the silver accents here on the trim work around the radio and shift lever. They had the silver inlay with the black on the steering wheel. I believe some of them had a two-toned leather seating. You have some gray on the headrest back here, and there is it's a darker gray charcoal colored leather perforated here in the center with the black bolsters, and a lighter gray here on the dash with the black to contrast. But everything else is pretty much all second generation Outback. The actual seat shape, there is a little bit of contrasting stitching here on the shift lever that's different, but basically everything else, control panel, radio, the gauge cluster, everything, all the switches and everything are all the same. A little bit different on the gauge cluster because the Bajas did have a blue faced gauge cluster, whereas the normal Outback and Legacy had a dark gray or black face on their gauges. Moving to the rear of the Baja, there's a little bit more interesting stuff going on back here than in the regular Outback of this vintage. One, your back seat folds down to open into the truck bed. There's actually a little pass-through in here, and you also get two cup holders and a center console for the rear seat as well. So looking at the rear seats and how they fold down, you basically have a little knob here you can pull up, and then your seats will fold down, and that will let you reach to the bulkhead access, so you can have larger items slide through from the truck bed into the cabin. You pull this switch up here, and you've got a pass-through into the truck bed. You also have storage cubbies on either side for your jack and spare tire tools. So as far as the power plant was concerned, most Bajas were powered by either an EJ251 or EJ253 single overhead cam 2.5 liter H4 engine. And in the later models, they offered a turbo version that you could get an EJ255 in. I believe it was rated at 230, 240 horsepower. The main distinction exterior-wise between the turbo and non-turbo model is the turbo model had a hood scoop. Before we end out, let's take a little look at a size comparison between this 03 Baja with the camper shell and my 02 LL Bean Outback. As you can see, they're pretty much got the same dimensions. You do get a little bit taller roof height with the camper shell on the Baja than you do with the Outback. It kind of slopes back towards the hatch, whereas this one comes back mainly straight from the roof line and then drops down at the tailgate. But still, the fact that you can completely fold down the seats in the Outback and have unobstructed space, considering compared to the Baja where you have the bulkhead, I believe still that the Outback is a little more functional if you just plan on carrying stuff out of the weather. If you plan to, use the truck bed and haul things bigger, like I believe they even had a dirt bike rack that would hold a dirt bike in the bed and up the back window towards the back of the roof. I'm not sure. I think maybe smaller ATVs can fit in there. Just, a couple things. There's also, stuff you don't want to haul inside your Outback, like, I don't know, say, bags of garbage you plan to take to the dump. I'd rather put it in the truck bed on the Baja than put it on the carpeted cargo area of the Outback. You're not going to stink up the inside of your Baja throwing it in the truck bed. It'll be open air. So it's all about, your personal preference and what you're mainly going to do with the vehicle. Do kind of hate that they discontinued the Baja, although it was, a very particular buyer that was going to buy the Baja, so it had a very short life and a very short production run. But I know the Baja has a cult following, kind of like the Brat did, and people would love to have a modern version of it back for sale at Subaru dealerships. Well guys, that pretty much wraps up our video on the world's most unique Subaru Baja, and a little bit of an overview of what made a Baja a Baja. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see y'all in the next one.